Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of Hebrews. We're in Hebrews chapter 12, today looking at verses 12 and 13. Now we saw in yesterday's session that in chapter 12, the author of Hebrews begins his concluding remarks. He's beginning to sum things up in this wonderful letter he wrote, the Hebrews. Yesterday in the session we saw that he talked to the recipients of the letter about the discipline of the Lord. Sometimes the Lord has to discipline us. We go through difficult times, but we're being disciplined, we're being trained, we're being developed in holiness. That is God's great work. And now today he's got another word, and that's just to say, be strong and strengthen those parts of your life that might be a little weak. Notice how he says it. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 12 and 13. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and your weak knees. Make level paths for your feet, so that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed. Now, he says a couple of things in these verses that are very important. First, he says, strengthen your feeble arms and strengthen your weak knees. You know, sometimes when we're going through difficult times, as he talked about in the previous passage, that's why he says, therefore. But sometimes when we're going through those difficult times, we notice our weaknesses and our vulnerabilities. We notice that our resources are not as great as we thought they were. Our strength is not as powerful as we thought it was. You know, when everything is going well, we tend to think we can handle anything. But when it's a little more difficult, when the times are a little harder, when we're undergoing that discipline, we realize we have some places where we are weak, where our arms are feeble and our knees are weak. But that's good. It's good to recognize the places in our life of weakness so that we can give them more to the Lord. You know, when I notice a place in my heart that the resolve to serve the Lord is weaker than it should be, it's good for me to see that so that I can surrender that to the Lord and allow Him to strengthen me. When I see a place in my life where, let's talk about the knees. Maybe I haven't been on my knees as much as I should be. Maybe I haven't been praying as much as I should. And suddenly that becomes clear. I'm not praying as much as I should. Well, that gives me an opportunity to strengthen that place in my life, to give more time to prayer. You see, when we notice those places in our life that we have feeble arms and that we have weak knees, we notice places in our life where the Lord shows them to us, where we need to strengthen a little bit, that gives us the opportunity for more surrender to Him, for more dedication to His will. So when the Lord shows us a place in our life that needs some growth, well, there's the opportunity. Give that place of your life more to Him and allow Him to strengthen you. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and your weak knees. Then in verse 13 it says, make level paths for your feet. What exactly does that mean, make level paths for your feet? Well, that's a quote from Proverbs number 4, verse 26. And when you read it there, it kind of indicates that the idea of making a level path for your feet is to take care in the paths that you travel. In other words, take care of the way you journey, that you are in a place where you won't stumble. Taking care for your path, making the level path for your feet, is to take care where you walk in your life and what you involve yourself in. You know, I know there are certain things that if I do, they will prove a hindrance for me. There's certain kind of activities I need to avoid because that makes for an uneven path where I might stumble and fall. You know the places in your life where you have a tendency to slip up. You know the kind of activities that cause you extra temptations. Avoid those places. Avoid those activities. If there's some activity or some path that is a trouble spot for you, avoid it. Make sure you're walking on a good path that allows you to grow and develop in the Lord. You know your life well enough to know the areas where you could be especially tempted. So stay away from those areas. Stay away from those activities that provide hindrances. Make level paths for your feet. Take care for the paths that you follow. And then he says the result is that the lame will not be disabled, but rather healed. In other words, when you're continuing to walk with the Lord, when you continue to dedicate yourself to Him, when you're continuing to walk in His paths, you will find His healing power in your life and in the ministry He gives you to do. God wants to heal us. He wants to make us whole. Lameness sort of represents here a crippling effect of not walking close enough to the Lord. But when we walk close to Him, we know His full healing power. He makes us whole physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Salvation is all about healing, healing our spirits, healing our bodies, healing our emotions, making us whole in the Lord. And as we walk in utter dedication to Him, we will experience the fullness of His healing power for us through and through in our lives. And so we're told, strengthen your feeble arms and your weak knees. Make level paths for your feet. And the result is the lame will not be disabled, but rather healed. What a wonderful word. Hope you join us tomorrow as we continue our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Hebrews.